Welcome to episode 3 of the First In Class podcast. When you're watching this, hopefully you're watching this if it comes out, when it comes out, which is going to be on Saturday afternoon, or I'm going to release Saturday noon, but by now it's afternoon that you're seeing this. When you're seeing, right now, as I'm recording this, I've actually already recorded episode 4 with the guest. And, I think the episode turned out alright. I think the guest, he was alright. Okay, so you'll see in episode 4, and I'm going to set the like goal at the beginning of the video right now. 15 likes for episode 4. It's a little bit high. It's definitely way higher than 11, because y'all smashed that like goal way quicker than I thought y'all would. So 15 likes to get episode 3, or 15 likes to get episode 4 of the podcast. So, this episode we're gonna be a little bit more serious, okay? Because it's one of my greatest fears, and that is it's like the permanent diseases and viruses and inflictions that you can catch. You know, losing a limb, just even something as simple as like scars, or even like a tattoo. Even all of this permanence, the idea of your body being permanently changed, it's I don't know how you couldn't see that as horrifying, quite frankly. That like you are, in control of your body, right? Or you are your body, depending on how you look at it, right? And the thought of something about you being permanently changed, typically against your will, I feel like it's horrifying, Like, let's say you catch some disease and you have to have your arm removed, right? Your arm is permanently gone. You'll never have your arm back. You can get prosthetics, but you'll never have your arm back. You are permanently changed forever. There is no going back. The thought of not being able to go back it's horrifying. Maybe not horrifying. I'm playing it up a little bit, but just the idea that it's permanent. That's scary. You catch you catch some disease and it stays with you for the rest of your life. It's always in all the cells of your body, always there, always replicating, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's already won. It's just a part of you now. That's so. I feel like that's terrifying. That's scary. I'm sure there are other people who share this fear. So I'm not irrational. The idea of this permanent alteration permanent alterations or disfigurement, it's not something really anyone wants. I mean, maybe tattoos, but to me, tattoos are still scary because that's basically permanent. Even after, if you get it laser removed, tattoos are just a bunch of it's just a bunch of metal. Tattoo ink is colored metal that your cells try to absorb, and then your cells become inundated with all this metal, and it's just stuck there. And there's really nothing that you can do besides laser treatment, but even there, it's still in your body, even if it's being broken down. Someone once told me, I don't know if this is true, I've never bothered to look this up, that if you ever get a tattoo, you can't ever donate blood. I think that's just it's a scary thought that something could be so permanent, something could so permanently change you in such a drastic way. The thought of the thought that you could have the slightest misstep, and your life is completely changed, completely different from that point on. You could step on some used crack needle on a beach, and and now you're down what? You're HIV positive. You step from stepping on some used crack needle. It's a scary thought that the smallest of misstep can lead to that. Another example would be, and I already mentioned the loss of a limb, but I already filmed an episode. I filmed an episode earlier, so that's why my throat's already kind of running dry. When you see episode 4, you'll see me drinking a lot of water. That was to kind of keep myself hydrated and propped up. Okay, there's nothing in this drink, is it? Not really anything. Okay, so sorry guys, I'm gonna be coughing quite a bit. So just the idea of a simple cut. You get a paper cut, okay? But you actually touch some surface that has some virus or bacteria on it that enters your bloodstream. The wound becomes infected, and you don't realize until it's too late. And now you have to have now you have to like your finger removed or something like that. Now you have to have your hand removed. You have to have your arm removed. Of course, that's extreme. That's incredibly extreme. But it's possible. It can happen. It's such a horrifying thought. The fact that something like that can just happen. You can permanently be changed forever. It's. Some people don't think about it. Some people prefer to not think about it. Okay? And to those people, I say that you should. You should think about it. Because even though worrying can only get you so far, you can only be so careful, it should be something that you're at least slightly conscious of. Because if you aren't, you're basically just... you're basically resigning your own existence. I don't know how to put that, but you shouldn't. Of course, there's nothing that you should always live in fear of. You shouldn't have to. Certainly there's some things that you always live in fear of, especially if you're like a marginalized group. There's a pretty good chance that you always live in fear of something, whether it be the current situation that the country is in, or it be just general discrimination. There's always something to be scared of, but I think the permanent disfigurements and alterations is horrifying. It really is. That shakes me down to my core. And that's why I'm giving it its own episode, because it's such an interesting topic. I feel like I could go on and on about it. I feel like I could keep talking about it. Okay? Thing is, it is about, 1 a.m.? 12:30? So, I'm not quite at my peak mental status to be able to talk about this. But but I will try, okay? Here's another horrifying one. When you're... If you have an autoimmune disease, okay, and your body's own immune system turns against you, that's scary. The fact that your own body could turn on you, just like that, and then what? It's not good from you. It doesn't look good after that. It's tragic. That is. So. Or the idea. Okay, so here's one. Here's an idea. Here's something of a permanent disfigurement or alteration. So there's this tick, right? The longhorn tick, right? And it carries in its saliva a protein present in red meat, right? And when it bites you, it irritates your skin. It activates an immune response, right? So your immune system remembers this protein in saliva. Thing is, that protein is in all red meat. Okay, so that means next time you eat red meat, your immune system will have a reaction against that red meat. It gives you an allergy. It changes your not really your DNA, because it's not passed down, but it permanently changes your body. And I think that is such a scary thought. That something about you can be permanently changed like that. One bite from that tick, and your life is completely different forever. And there's nothing you can do about it. Besides taking, maybe, I haven't looked into this, maybe you can take immunosuppressants, but if you're doing that, then you're putting yourself at risk. Risk for further diseases or infections, what have you. And obviously, no one, most people aren't going to do that for the sake of eating red meat. That's silly. That's dumb. So, okay. So I'm going to try and think of another way that you can be permanently changed like that. Okay, so I guess we'll ask the question of the episode. Besides death, okay, because death's also pretty permanent, but of all of the permanent, let's say, okay, not loss of limb, okay, loss of limb, I think I'd rather lose an arm. I think I'd rather not be able to eat red meat than lose an arm. Okay, so excluding the loss of limbs and death, what permanent disease are you most scared of? What thing are you most... What, permanent alteration are you most scared of? Specifically from a disease, not losing your limb. If you have a specific thing, part of the disease you're scared of too, share that. Please, because I feel like this is an interesting one, and I think most people don't realize their fears that they have with this topic, because it's not talked about. I feel like it's crazy how we just brush over the fact that something so small can permanently change you in a moment's notice. You know? I feel like that's something that I just don't get how people don't talk about that more, because it's such a crazy idea that you can just permanently be changed. And I think that is sort of... I think it's sort of interesting that no one talks about that. Or not as many people talk about it as I think should. I'm gonna pause this real quick, because I'm having major allergies right now, so I'll be back in a minute. Alright, so we're back. For y'all, that's just a quick snap, but for me, that was... I had to get up and blow my nose. The very idea of something, just some kind of disability being included in your DNA from the start is scary. Yeah, the idea that I have this allergy to something completely benign, mostly benign, just encoded into my very existence for my entire life, and there's really nothing you can do about it, is it's kind of sad, honestly, because it's or some people like diabetes, if you didn't know, is partially genetic, okay? And the idea that it's just in your genes that you are incredibly likely to have diabetes one day is scary. It's very, very scary that it's just a possibility that can happen. You're just part of you, but you wish it wasn't. I'm stuttering a lot. It's because it's late at night and I am tired, and I just filmed a full episode before filming this episode, okay? So, excuse me for that. So, I guess, another part of this, I guess, would be, the loss of a sense, blindness. You can become And it's, in fact, it could be in your DNA that you will, have, macular degeneration. You'll just slowly become blind more and more, lose more and more vision until you can't see anything. And that's, I don't know how that couldn't be scary. That you're losing, especially if you're actively losing the sense, you're actively losing more vision. The fact that you know that one day you will never see anything ever again. One day, never see anything ever again. But now you have to sit through as you slowly lose it. Or if you're slow, or you slowly begin to you lose the ability to hear your family members and your friends. You slowly begin to, and you realize that you're just going to become deaf. You're going to lose your hearing. That's terrifying. Having any kind of counter on anything about your life, anything that's counting down about your life, is scary enough. Like a deadline. Okay, but when you have the deadline, the last chance to see anything, or last chance to hear anything, that's just as scary. Okay? Now, for the past 16 minutes, I've talked about I've talked about fear, and I've talked about how it's an important part of life. But I don't want to be all down and doom and gloom, okay? Because if I do that too long, there's no reason to be all doom and gloom, okay? Because the fact is, there's more to life than doom and gloom. So why focus on it? Why focus on the sad parts? Okay? Let me tell you something. Just because this can happen, okay, and because you only will live once, okay, that you will, if you're afflicted with any of these, debilitations, it's permanent. But at the same time, you need to remember that you only live once. There are some things you will only get the chance to do once. There are some things that you'll only see once. Some things you only experience once. Okay? But if you sit in your room, you sit in your house all day in fear of something like that, something bad happening to you, like I've described for the past, 18 minutes, then you're not going to be able to experience life to the fullest. It means that the people who already have those disabilities will be living life more than you are. Because you sit there and you wait, and when something bad eventually is going to happen. Whether you like it or not, sadly, we're not in control entirely of the way we end up, of what happens to us. And you just need to realize that. You need to realize that ultimately, of course, the things that happen to you are for a good part based on your actions. But sometimes things are just out of your control, and there's something you have to do something, and it's just part of life. And if you are inflicted with anything, think about it this way: if you sit in your house your whole life and you start going blind, maybe you'll try to live out the last couple days before you go blind. But if you live your life and then you start to go blind and you keep living, then you've lived like twice as much as the guy who just sat in his house and waited till he went blind or went deaf. So even though I talk a lot about fear, and talking a lot about fear in this episode, don't let it drag you down. Don't let it slow you down. Live your life to the fullest, but be careful. Be smart. Be intelligent. Okay? That's what you need to do. You need to mix careful, intelligent, and living. If you can mix the three of those things, you'll live a happy life. If you're careful, intelligent, and you're just living. It's incredibly important. So I expected to have way more to talk about. I expected, because this is something that is always on my mind. Like, I remember that this is horrifying. You can just be inflicted with something like that, in an instant. But I don't really have much to say about it in terms of my chair rotating. That's annoying. I don't have much to say of it in terms of specifics, because, I mean, you know how it is. You probably know there's about a truckload of diseases there and stuff that isn't curable or fixable. So I'm not going to act like you're dumb and try to tell you about them. I've told you about how I feel about them. I think you should feel a similar way. You should be fearful of them. You should look out. But they're not everyday occurrences. And you should still live your life to the absolute fullest. No matter what you're scared of. Or what some guy on the internet tells you to be scared of. You know? You need to be mindful of. It just boils down to kind of, to some degree, forming your own opinion of it. You can either not care about it at all, or you can care about it too much. And if you go either too much in either way, you might end up living a worse life for it. And that's just the sad truth of it. I think that applies to most things, honestly. If you have two sides of a scale, and you go too much in one way or the other, you're always going to end up living a kind of a worse life for it. Balance. It's like, if you like, not trying to quote Thanos here, but, keep things balanced. Perfectly balanced is all things should be. Yeah, just remember that. Live in balance. I'm using my chair to hold a laptop. The laptop I'm using to hold the phone, which is recording. And the chair has a button. Isn't that fun? Where'd it go? I wonder if that picks up on the recording. I wish I had planned this out more, and I wish I would stop stuttering. I just go like, like, why am I stuttering? Like this is something I have thought about talking about for a long time, and I think when I filmed episode 2, after that, I was like, okay, I know what I'm going to talk about in episode 3. I'm going to talk about permanent afflictions. Yet I can't seem to be able to think of anything. My mind, it draws blanks. So I guess I'll just repeat what I already said in a different way. Just live your life to the fullest, okay? That's the only advice I can give you that you should follow, that you have to follow. You know what? Yeah. You have to follow that advice. If you're not living your life to the fullest, I will find out, and we will have problems. Live your life to the fullest and enjoy it, okay? No matter how you choose to live it, okay? As long as you're letting other people enjoy their lives to the fullest, you should do the same. And I hope you don't have any qualms about that based on I hope I didn't instill any major fears in anyone. I hope I gave you some food for thought. I hope you gave you something to chew on. I hope you gave you something you can listen to for half an hour. 24 minutes. I guess I hope I gave you something you can listen to for 24 minutes. I guess this is going to be a shorter episode. I've run out of things to say. So, I guess we'll start the outro. It feels like when you're writing an essay and you have to get it to 500 words, but you're stuck at 450. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I know this episode was a bit darker than usual, I guess, but it was something I wanted to talk about just because it's one of my fears. It's one of the fears that I have in quite a big way. So, thank you all for watching. Truly. Thank you all for liking. Remember, 15 likes for episode 4. my heart goes out to all of you listening. Yeah, I mean, it means the world to me. I'll see you guys in episode 4, or see you never if we never hit 15 likes. But I think we can hit it. Whenever you're listening to this, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. That is a Truman Show reference. And I'm fidgeting a lot. Yeah, it's time to end this. So, I'll see you all later. I'll see you whenever I see you. I'm so happy that you stayed and you watched this episode. Thank you guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.